When a man enters a woman's mind from a place of true power, nothing can erase him. No message, no silence, no excuse. It's not about being perfect. It's about mastering the invisible art. What isn't said, what isn't given, what is simply felt. I'm not here to offer empty phrases or fairy tale promises. I'm here to show you how to transform your presence into an emotional brand she simply can't ignore. From the deep psychological desire Marco Aurelio wrote about, to the kind of energetic attraction no one can fake, I'll guide you from being the man who waits to be chosen, to the one who becomes unforgettable. You'll shift from chasing out of anxiety to leaving a lasting mark without even touching her. This video is for you if you're ready to stop begging and start sparking minds. So, like this video and subscribe to join the community. Let's get started. Remember this. If you don't become unforgettable to yourself first, you'll never be unforgettable to her. Here's a truth no one has told you before. You can't stay in someone's mind unless you first inhabit your own, with power. Do you want to enter her mind? Do you want to be that man she can't forget, no matter how much time passes, or how much she tries to distract herself? If so, understand this deeply. You can't impact a woman's subconscious until you've left an indelible mark on your own. This is where many fail. They try to be remembered without ever choosing themselves first. They chase another person's desire without giving themselves permission to desire their own. They beg for mental crumbs when they haven't even given themselves an emotional feast. As Marco Aurelio said, what is not made conscious manifests in life as destiny. And in this case, that destiny is to be forgotten. If you don't become conscious of your greatness, your unique energy, and your story, your presence will leave no mark. It'll disappear, like a forgotten sigh. Do you want to know when everything changes? It changes the moment you stop asking, does she like me? And start asking, do I like this version of myself? That's when your energy shifts. You no longer need her to look at you, because you can't stop looking at yourself. Your vibration rises because you've become unforgettable to yourself, and that makes you emotionally powerful and dangerously magnetic. Stick around, because the deepest part is yet to come. A moment arrives when you stop begging and start projecting. You stop pleading and start vibrating. You stop asking for connection and become a frequency that simply cannot be ignored. Let me tell you a real story that perfectly illustrates this. His name is Marcos. For 3 years, he was obsessed with a woman who came and went, who pursued him and desired him, but then disappeared for days or weeks. Marcos lived for every message, every like, every word. Her silences were deep wounds. Until one day, after another sudden absence, she came back and told him, I feel like you're the safe option, but something in me just doesn't activate with you. That sentence destroyed him, but it also woke him up. That night, Marcos cried like never before, but instead of trying to win her back, he asked himself one question. Why am I not unforgettable to her? Then the powerful truth came. Because I forgot myself. I erased myself, so she would notice me. I dimmed my light, so she could shine. From that day on, Marcos stopped trying to be memorable for her, and began to be unforgettable for himself. He started working out again, reading every night, writing in his journal, dressing for himself, and looking at himself in the mirror with respect instead of judgment. And then, something surprising happened. Weeks later, she reappeared, confused. I don't know what you did, but I can't get you out of my mind. I feel like I lost you, and I can't stop thinking about you. But by then, Marcos wasn't the same. He had conquered her without chasing her. He had entered her mind only after returning to the center of his own soul. Here's the secret. It's not about doing anything external. You don't need to manipulate, pretend, or be perfect. You just need to remember yourself, with such strength and authenticity that your essence vibrates even when you're not there. The female subconscious doesn't attach to a man who begs. It attaches to a man who radiates. It obsesses over the man who doesn't give in to anxiety, but acts from a place of power. That is the magnet man. That is the man who enters her mind and never leaves. If you're listening to this, you can be that man too, but only if you first become the most unforgettable person to yourself. Now get ready, because what's next is even deeper. The second point will show you how the invisible thoughts you have are what ultimately place you in her mind, or erase you without you even knowing. You'll discover that you project even in silence, because what a woman can't stop thinking about is the man who made her feel emotionally dominated without saying a single word. I'm going to take a quick break, but first, I want to ask you something from the heart. If you're getting value from this, please subscribe to the channel. It allows me to keep creating these authentic, soulful messages, and it's completely free for you. If you want to keep elevating your energy with this community, subscribe now, and let's continue with the most powerful part. There's something no woman will ever confess, but it screams in her subconscious without her even knowing. It's not your words. It's not what you did to make her like you. It's not how much you supported her, or how attentive you were. What truly leaves a mark on her, what stays on her skin and in her mind like an invisible tattoo, is your energy that throws her off balance without you saying a word. Marco Aurelio spoke of the power of the unconscious, a force that transcends rationality. In the game of emotional attraction, this force activates not when you try to convince her, but when you make her unable to get you out of her mind. You become a vibration, making her feel small, confused, and full of desire without saying anything. It doesn't cling to what it already has. It obsesses over what it can't decode. So, if you want to enter her mind and never leave, let mystery play its part. Learn to disappear without drama, to leave with elegance and power. Step back without chaos, and let that move her more than any words ever could. Because when you become a present absence, she starts to search for you in every place you're not. And what she chases with her mind but can't find with her eyes becomes an addiction. This isn't manipulation. This is strategic, energetic presence. It's the awareness that your energy doesn't lower itself. It positions itself. That your worth isn't begged for. It's vibrated. That your power isn't explained. It's felt. And once you truly understand and embody this, something inside you changes forever. You stop chasing. You stop trying. You stop explaining. You just exist. And that alone is enough for her soul to remember you, even when you no longer think about her. Now, stay close, because in the next point, I'll reveal something that completely shifts her unconscious perception. It's not what you do that makes you unforgettable. It's how you make her feel even when you're not there. Get ready, because what's coming could become your most powerful weapon. If you want to live rent-free in her mind, you have to reflect something back to her, something she doesn't even understand about herself. There's one thing no person ever forgets, the one who showed them parts of themselves they didn't even know existed. And for a woman, that's twice as powerful. She may be surrounded by options, attractive, intelligent, even emotionally available men, but her mind doesn't get caught by the obvious. It gets entangled with the symbolic, with what she can't fully decode, with what makes her feel like she's seeing herself in another soul. That's where you become unforgettable. Not because you said something magnificent or forced yourself into some version you're not, but because, without even trying, you reflected a fragment of her shadow, a piece of her soul, and that haunts her. Let me tell you a real story that shows how this phenomenon works. Sebastian, a deeply observant man, focused on his own growth, met Laura during a corporate training. He spoke little, smiled without trying to please, and never sought her attention. In fact, he seemed more interested in taking notes than in connecting. But one phrase Sebastian said, when they were barely talking, echoed in Laura's mind for weeks. Sometimes you choose relationships that are really just trying to fill an older void. She didn't know why that line struck her so deeply. She didn't realize it came from a man who wasn't even trying to seduce her. But that simple phrase became a mirror, because Laura, without knowing it, was trapped by a need for validation that dated back to her childhood. And that man, without any intention of emotional manipulation, had revealed her oldest wound with just one sentence. From that day, she couldn't get him out of her mind. That's what happens when you enter someone's mind through their subconscious. You don't conquer them with your body or with tactics. You reach them with the silent gravity of your depth. Marco Aurelio once said, "What is not made conscious manifests as destiny." And you become that destiny when you awaken something in her that either confronts or frees her, without ever naming it out loud. That is the power of a magnetic man. The ability to enter another person's psyche not as an intrusion, but as a revelation. Because you don't invade, you reflect. And what you reflect isn't surface level. It's deep symbols, unhealed wounds, unspoken dreams, needs she can't even articulate. But here's the key. You can't reflect what you haven't faced yourself. You can't awaken a woman if you haven't awakened first. You can't mirror someone's soul if you haven't looked at your own with brutal honesty. That's why this isn't a trick. It's not emotional manipulation. It's real psychic alchemy, energy that vibrates with truth. Do you want to be unforgettable? Then become the person who didn't flatter her, but revealed her. Not from judgment, but from such an authentic presence that she felt safe enough to see herself. And that's the secret. You don't enter her mind because you want to. You enter when she realizes you saw her beyond her masks, and you weren't scared. You didn't judge. You didn't manipulate. You simply reflected her. And in that moment, your energy became a symbol. And symbols are never forgotten. In the next point, I'll show you something even deeper. How to make her desire not depend on your constant presence, but on the psychic imprint you leave even when you're gone. Is this hitting you? Then stay with me till the end, because what's coming next can change the way you connect forever. If you want to live in her mind forever, erase the need to be chosen. This is the ultimate paradox. The more you need to be chosen, the more you disappear from her subconscious. The more you wait for signals, validation, or proof she thinks of you, the less you exist in her energy. Because the feminine unconscious, as Marcus Aurelius knew well, isn't drawn to someone who needs her, but to someone who impacts her without needing her. You don't enter her mind when she misses you. You enter when she realizes you could carry on without her. And yes, this breaks everything we've been taught. Since childhood, we were told that love is won through devotion, sacrifice, and constant availability. But the man who lingers in a woman's mind isn't the one who gave everything. He's the one who stayed rooted in his center, the one who didn't depend on love to feel whole, the one whose very presence challenged her inner world. Do you want to be unforgettable? Then remove from your soul the urgency of being chosen. Erase that quiet anxiety whispering. Does she like me? Does she think about me? Does she miss me? Because as long as that need vibrates in you, your energy loses its power. Your aura becomes filled with lack. And even if she can't explain it, she feels it. Because every human reads emotion before words. It's energetic biology. Let me give you another true story that explains this clearly. Marcos was a brilliant man, attractive, kind, intelligent, understanding, everything that should make a woman never want to leave. But deep down, there was something in him that always vibrated like an unspoken plea. He never said it, but his energy begged, "Please choose me. Please choose me." And that silent vibration ended up erasing him completely from that woman's mind, because she began to sense his emotional dependence, and that killed the magic. It doesn't attach to what it has all the time. It obsesses over what it can't decode. So, if you want to enter her mind and never leave, let mystery do its part. Learn to disappear without drama, to leave with elegance and power, to not be there, and let that move her more than your words ever could. Because when you become a present absence, she starts to look for you in every place you're not. And what she seeks with her mind but can't find with her eyes becomes an addiction. This isn't manipulation. This is strategic, energetic presence. It's understanding that your energy doesn't lower itself. It positions itself. That your worth isn't begged for. It's vibrated. That your power isn't explained. It's felt. When you truly understand and integrate this, something in you changes forever. You stop chasing. You stop trying. You stop explaining. You just exist. And that alone is enough for her soul to remember you, even when you no longer think about her. Now stay close, because in the next point, I'll reveal something that completely changes her unconscious perception. It's not what you do that makes you unforgettable. It's how you make her feel when you're not even there. Get ready, because what's coming could become your most powerful weapon. If you want to enter her mind, you have to reflect something to her that she doesn't even understand about herself. There's something no one ever forgets. The person who showed them parts of themselves they didn't even know existed. And for a woman, this is doubly powerful. She may be surrounded by options, attractive, intelligent, even available men, but her mind doesn't get entangled with the obvious. It gets entangled with the symbolic, with what she can't fully decode, with what makes her feel as if she's seeing herself in another body. That's where you become unforgettable, not because you said something magnificent or became a forced version of yourself, but because, without even trying, you reflected a piece of her shadow, a fragment of her soul. And that haunts her. Let me tell you a real story that reveals how this phenomenon works. Sebastian, a deeply observant man, focused on his own growth, met Laura during a corporate training. He spoke little, smiled without trying to please, and never sought her attention. In fact, he seemed more interested in taking notes than in connecting. However, one phrase Sebastian said to her, when they were barely talking, echoed in Laura's mind for weeks. Sometimes you choose relationships that are really just trying to fill an older void. She didn't know why that phrase affected her. She didn't know it came from a man who wasn't trying to seduce her. But that single phrase lit a mirror inside her, because Laura, without realizing it, was trapped by a need for validation that dated back to her childhood. And that man, without intending to emotionally trap her, had shown her her oldest wound with just a few words. From then on, she couldn't get him out of her head. That's what happens when you enter someone's mind through their subconscious. You don't conquer them with your body or with strategies. You do it with the silent impact of your depth. Marco Aurelio once said, "What is not made conscious manifests as destiny." And you become that destiny when you make her conscious of something that either confronts or liberates her, without ever explicitly naming it. That is the greatest power of a magnetic man. His ability to enter another person's psyche not as an intrusion, but as a revelation. Because you don't invade, you reflect. And what you reflect isn't simple things. It's deep symbols, unhealed pains, unconfessed dreams, needs she can't even put into words. But there's a key point. You can't reflect anything you haven't gone through yourself. You can't awaken a woman if you haven't awakened first. You can't be a mirror if you haven't looked at yourself with brutal honesty. That's why this isn't a trick or an emotional manipulation technique. It's real psychic alchemy, energy that vibrates with truth. Do you want to become unforgettable to someone? Then become the person who didn't flatter her, but revealed her. And not from a place of judgment, but from a presence so authentic that she felt safe enough to see herself. And there's the secret. You don't enter her mind because you want to. You enter when she realizes that you saw her beyond her masks, and you weren't scared. You didn't judge, and you didn't manipulate. You simply reflected her. And in that instant, your energy became a symbol, and symbols are never forgotten. In the next point, I'm going to reveal something even deeper: how to make her desire not depend on your constant presence, but on the psychic imprint you leave even when you're not there. Is this impacting you? Then make sure you stay until the end, because what's coming next can change the way you connect forever. If you want to inhabit her mind forever, erase the need to be chosen. This is the most powerful paradox of all. The more you need to be chosen, the more you erase yourself from her mind. The more you wait for a signal, for validation, for proof that she thinks of you, the less you inhabit her subconscious. Because the female unconscious, as Marco Aurelio knew better than anyone, is not attracted to someone who needs her, but to someone who impacts her without needing her. You don't enter her mind when she misses you. You enter when she realizes you could carry on without her. And yes, this breaks many of the models we learned. Because since we were young, we were programmed to believe that love is conquered with total devotion, with sacrifice, with absolute emotional availability. But the man who stays in a woman's mind isn't the one who gave everything. It's the one who vibrated from his own center, who wasn't dependent on the relationship to feel complete, who was so whole in himself that his very presence challenged her inner world. Do you want to be unforgettable? Then erase from your soul the urgency of being chosen. Eliminate from your thoughts that silent anxiety that asks, does she like me? Does she think about me? Does she miss me? Because as long as that need vibrates within you, your energy loses its power. Your aura becomes contaminated with lack, and she, even if she doesn't understand it rationally, perceives it. Because all human beings read the emotional field before the words. It's energetic biology. Let me tell you a true story that explains this clearly. Marcos was a brilliant man. He had everything you'd think would make a woman never want to leave him. He was attractive, kind, intelligent, and understanding. But deep down, there was something in him that always vibrated like an unspoken plea. He didn't say it, but his energy screamed, "Please choose me. Please choose me." And that subtle vibration ended up completely erasing him from that woman's mind, because she began to feel that he was emotionally dependent on the relationship, and that killed the magic. Marcos gave her everything but one thing: the mystery of not needing her. And that's where the magnetism died. Now listen carefully. This doesn't mean you should become cold or play games of indifference. It means choosing yourself so deeply that there's no space left to beg for someone else to choose you. It means loving yourself so fully that if someone doesn't see your worth, you don't question it. You simply move forward. Because your value doesn't depend on whether someone loves you. It exists because you are already love. When you release the desire to be chosen, something powerful happens. Your energy becomes ethereal, clean, and unshakably strong. You stop vibrating at the frequency of lack and rise into what Marco Aurelio called the integrated self, that state of wholeness where you no longer need completion to be whole. And that's when the mystery begins. You start living in her mind, not because you're chasing her, but because your energy has become archetypal. And archetypes are never forgotten. They remain, they linger, they mark. Authentic desire is born from freedom, not from need. The deepest connection a woman can have with you isn't with the one she has. It's with the one she can't erase from her subconscious, even when he's doing nothing to stay there. That's what energetically whole presences do. They stay without forcing it. Marco Aurelio said, "Nothing has a stronger influence on the environment than a person's unworked shadow." And I'll tell you this, nothing lives deeper in a woman's mind than the energy of a man who has already chosen himself. So, if today you truly want to leave a mark on her subconscious, to occupy a sacred place in her memory, her desire, her most intimate thoughts. Stop trying to be chosen. Make the most radical act of self-love. Choose yourself, because when that happens, you won't need to do anything. She'll remember you, not for what you did, but for who you were. And that version of you, free, complete, without emotional hunger or strategy, will become her greatest addiction. And now that we've reached the end of this journey, you're about to discover the most powerful conclusion of all. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is a truth very few men have integrated, and it will forever change how women see you, desire you, and remember you. Make your energy chase her, while you don't. Here's the final secret, the one few men know, and it radically transforms your presence in a woman's mind without you ever having to seek her, text her, chase her, or convince her of your worth. When you master this, her subconscious begins to seek you for her. And that is exactly what you need if you want to enter her mind and never leave. You do this by moving with awareness, by closing the chapter without a wound, by choosing dignity without drama, by setting boundaries without resentment. You walk away, not to manipulate her, but because you refuse to beg for crumbs of attention. When you do that, something inside her shifts. Because it's not about what you say, it's about how your energy imprints on her. And for that imprint to last, you must leave behind something that time cannot erase. You achieve that only when your actions come from emotional strength, from the soul, not the ego. Let me tell you a real story that reflects this truth. Alejandro spent months trying to understand why a woman who seemed so enchanted by him suddenly left. No fight, no closure, just gone. At first, he chased her. He texted, explained, poured his heart out. Nothing worked. Until one day, he realized he would never beg for love again. But instead of leaving in anger, he walked away from his center. He closed the chapter with love, expressed himself with truth, and then disappeared, silently. He didn't post vague statuses, cryptic quotes, or flaunt other women to provoke her. He simply withdrew, in peace. But here's what she didn't know. In his silence, Alejandro left an energy so pure, so strong, and so elevated that months later, she couldn't stop dreaming about him. Because Alejandro didn't leave a void, he left a presence without a body, an energy she couldn't replace. And the most powerful part? When she came back, Alejandro wasn't there. Not out of hate, but because his vibration no longer matched what she had to offer. That's what happens when your energy chases her, without you doing it. She starts looking for you, not because of strategy, but because her soul recognizes you as a symbol. And symbols are never replaced, only remembered. Marcus Aurelius once wrote about how symbols govern our lives from the unconscious, and you can become one, but only when you master your vibration. Here's a practice you can begin today. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, visualize that person in front of you, and silently repeat, "I let you go, but I leave my energy in you, not so you remember me, but so you heal with what I was." Then imagine turning around and walking back to your own center, not toward another woman, not toward another relationship, but toward yourself. Do this every night for 7 days, without checking, without writing, without reaching. Just live in your highest energy and watch what happens. It's not about making her come back. It's about becoming so emotionally elevated that your energy remains even after you're gone. Conclusion. Now you know you don't have to beg, force, or chase to stay in her mind. A man who truly masters his emotional field doesn't shout, doesn't demand. He simply leaves an impact. Getting into a woman's mind isn't about seducing her body. It's about leaving an imprint on her soul. It's about reflecting to her what she hasn't yet understood about herself. It's about withdrawing with such integrity that you force her to confront her own truth. And when that happens, no silence, distance, or time can erase you from her memory. Because when a man becomes a symbol, he is not forgotten. He remains. But not every man can reach that level. Only the man who never betrays himself. Only the man who chooses to be unforgettable to himself before needing to be indispensable to anyone else. Only the man who transforms the need to be chosen into the power of knowing he is enough. If you've made it this far, it's not a coincidence. It's because your soul is done begging for attention. It's ready to become presence. So repeat this with me right now and seal it in your energy. I don't become her addiction from a place of emptiness, but from the power of being me. Write it. Declare it. Because when a man speaks with conviction, his energy begins to reach places his words never could. And that's where transformation begins. If this message resonated with your soul, it's time to take the next step. Subscribe now to keep elevating your vibration with each new video. Give this content a like, so more people can hear what has liberated you today. Share it with someone who also needs to let go, to heal. And before you go, don't leave yet. On screen, I've left you the next video in this journey of transformation. Click it. Go deeper. Because your soul has already begun, and it deserves to finish this path. Thank you for your time, for your presence. And I'll see you soon with another video that will help you rise even higher.